already know who I am. But for those of you that don't, did you learn anything about me just now? Do you know what my interests are? Well, that's understandable because I didn't say anything, right? You see, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, people fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they have not communicated with each other. See, while we were preparing for this event, I kept thinking about that quote. I thought about our campus. I've always heard Carnegie Mellon has such a diverse campus. Think about it. We have people from Chicago, New York, Singapore, Indonesia, India, and so many other places. But if we're not taking advantage of that diversity, if we're not communicating with each other, are we really that diverse? As the quote implied, communication is key. And this event was made today to get people to communicate and interact with each other. Please understand, today is not a lecture. Rather, it is the beginning, the start of a conversation about things we don't normally talk about on the CMU campus. So because of that, we will be talking about some topics that are a bit touchy and sensitive. Some of you might feel uncomfortable. Some of you might get upset. And that's okay. I get uncomfortable when I talk about these things. But we will have this conversation. And we encourage you all to understand that and participate and ask questions. So, when having this type of conversation, there are some ground rules we should lay, right? So these are the Diversity Awareness Initiative for students. These are not our rules, but we have seen them and thought that would be really helpful for today's event. So first, be fully present. No texting, no talking to your friend. Well, I'll talk later, but you know. Just be fully present because we can't have this conversation without you. Next, speak from the I perspective. Not we feel this way, but I feel this way. You're your own person. Be self-responsive, challenge yourself. You will learn a lot of stuff today. Listen, and process. Listen to the person, don't just hear them. Again, things will be slightly uncomfortable, so accept conflict and use that as a chance to learn. Be crisp, stay with its core, and lean into discomfort, take risks, make some mistakes, and let it go, for all you Frozen fans out there. Now, before we get on any further, I do want to familiarize you guys with the people who made this event possible. So first, we have Mini Taurus May. We have Debbie Basu. Cynthia Crowder. Mr. Rama. Of course, Mr. Nell Smith from the Office of and myself, Kristen Thomas. So it's important to know that we will be learning with you guys. We don't know all the answers. So that's why, again, I stress that you guys participate and ask questions. So, that was all really tense just now. Let's have a little exercise. So, we have this game called the diversity exercise. And in this game, I will show you a silhouette of a person doing a particular race. Doing a particular action. And you guys have to ask what race the person is. Right? You guys have to answer what race you think the person is. The rule is the only question you can ask me is to clarify the action that the person is doing. So let's start. What race do you think this person is?
Shout out, that works.
It's okay, you can shout out.
White.
We hear white?
Black.
You're Asian? You're black? Anyone else? Asian? Okay. Is that our only response? educational. That's why she has Navy on her shirt. Okay, so we had our first one. What race do you think this person is? We hear Caucasian? Russian? We hear Russian? Any other guesses? Is that it? Okay. She's Indian. Okay. All right, so let's go on to our next one. What race do you think this person is? You're black? Caucasian? Latina? Got it? She is black. What race do you think this person is? You hear white?
Other.
Other? Say that again? What? Oh, the action is painter. You're black? Is that it? White? Latino? White. Across, guys. Okay. Race do you think this person is? Hispanic, Cuban, Puerto Rican, Japanese. He is Japanese. You're right. What race do you think this person is? Asian? Middle Eastern? Is that it? White? Black? Latino? Oh, okay. He is Arabic, so Middle Eastern, yes. What race do you think this person is? The action is engineer. Asian. You have Asian. You have black. Is that it? Hispanic. So yeah. So the point of this game was two things. One, to show anyone can do anything, of course. And two, to show some racial biases you might have for certain actions. So I know at least some of you thought our basketball player was African American and male. Others, because this is a diversity event, not because you really thought it, thought our basketball player was white. And that's really interesting. See, you know, remember Lynn's sanity during Berlin? Okay. It's really interesting because I've heard some people on campus say, I'm colorblind. I don't see race. Which is not the same thing as saying, I'm not racist, I see everybody as equal. When you say these types of things, and you have these types of racial biases, even if you don't mean to say it that way, it's equivalent to saying, I don't care what your skin color is and the problems you might face because of it. So just keep in mind this exercise and think about some racial biases you might have and how we can prevent that so we can fix the problem. All right, so now I'm going to turn the mic over to Sabria, and she'll introduce our skits.
Hi everyone, it's great So the next portion of our event is dedicated to some skits that depict a lot of the situations that our friends have discussed with us about things they've experienced with racism and diversity on campus. And we really want you guys to get involved in these. So after each skit, we're going to have a discussion. And by that I mean we want you guys to sort of process them and then give us your thoughts. We'll bring a mic out to the audience, and we just want you to feel so comfortable to stand up and just say, here are the things I think, or this is how this has affected me on campus. So here's our first skit.
What's up, guys? How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
This is my cousin Andy. He's a freshman here at CMU. Andy, this is Sal.
Hi, Sal. Nice to meet you.
Same here. How do you like it here so far?
Oh, I like it a lot. Though some other international students find it a bit strange when I hang out with my cousin.
Really? Why do you think it's like that?
Yeah, we're thinking it's probably because of just the different cultures that we face. A lot of Asian Americans grow up going to American schools and assimilating into American culture. And a lot of times they speak English at home instead of their parents' native tongue.
Yeah, it's harder for international students because they'd rather speak their native language. It's comfortable that way. And also, I've heard people, I know that some Asian culture focus on like homogeneity, and I've heard people cruelly refer to Asian Americans as halfies or impure. Not only are those Asian Americans sometimes treated as foreigners, they're sometimes looked down upon too.
Well, I mean, it could be two-way street too for the prejudice. I don't know how many times people have come up to me and be like, you're the one with the squinty eyes. Like, just because I'm Asian doesn't mean we're all Bruce Lee.
Yeah, I guess it's like that for Indian students born in the U.S. too. I mean, when I was in elementary school, it was tough explaining to other people that I built in multiple gods. People also couldn't pronounce my name no matter how many times I tried to tell them. It was tough when I came to CMU because international students messed with me for not having an Indian accent. And they might have just been teasing, but it gets really annoying when people say that I don't really count as an Indian.
I'm sorry. It sounds really bad.
Dude, don't worry about it. We never really talked about it before. Plus, I don't think the divide between international students and Indian students is as strong as the ones you guys mentioned. I mean, I do have some international students, and their parents have said, they have told me that their parents have said that they don't want them hanging out with Asian Americans because they might be a bad influence. I think it's a silly notion, but I've seen it happen before.
Yeah, I think their parents think they'll be influenced by American culture if they become friends with Asian Americans, and they don't like that.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of CMU. Look at us. We're all diverse, and it helps really widen our perspectives on everything.
So does anybody have anything they want to share about the skit? If not, I'm going to make our actors talk again, so get involved.
That one point was really important, just how a lot of us come with a different background or different culture, but we kind of feel like we have to struggle between what we can keep from our old culture and what we can learn from the new. So I just think a lot of us can relate to that. We don't really talk about it as much as we should.
Thank you.
This is more a question than a comment. They said some H word that Asian cultures focus on. I'm not Asian, I don't really know what that is, but I'm curious to know what that concentration is. I don't actually remember the word homo or something. Yes. What do you, is it,
What one is it?
Like,
well, just like in terms of how it's important in Asian cultures as opposed to like other cultures?
Some Asian cultures believe in unity, and so you know you kind of feel more comfortable when you're around people that are the same as you, and so they focus on that, so they might not feel that comfortable when you're have to meet someone new from a new culture and you have no idea about what they like and what they don't like. So it's hard for some Asians to go out of their comfort zone because they put so much focus on that homogeneity thing.
Any other?
It's more of a comment than a question along the same lines of homogeneity. The thing is that in Asian cultures, a lot of us are pressurized to be idea. Everyone looks the same, talks the same, walks the same. And here, there's someone there with pink hair, someone here with completely different clothes. It's great, but it's also very scary, which is kind of why I feel like international students tend to stick together. Someone at least speaks their language in more than one way.
I think that's a great note to start our next skit on. So,
Hey man, I got your text about you breaking up with your girlfriend.
Her parents made her break up with me when they found out that I was black. They said that Indian girls shouldn't be associated with black people, let alone dating them. They even threatened to take her out of school if she kept dating me. So.
I'm so sorry. I mean, it sucks sometimes that Asian parents can be like that.
But the way you say that makes it sound like it's not just her parents.
I mean, it's not just her parents. Asian parents have this iron fist over their kids, and Asians just listen to whatever their parents told them. As we get older, though, we realize that our parents keep telling us those stuff for our own good, and because they trigger us. That doesn't mean they're always right, though. Even my parents have told me, don't hang out with black or Hispanic people.
But why would they say that?
Well, most Asian parents are immigrants. So in addition to the racist perceptions of black and Hispanic people percepted overseas, they probably have had some misunderstandings with a few black people after they came to US. So they probably thought all the black people were just like that. Also, as Asians, we celebrate our culture and emphasize hanging out with people who also celebrate it. So, also as Asians, we emphasize that kind of culture, and so it's just, so that's why we don't really associate with people outside of our culture, and end up like keeping those views as a result.
Is that also why you don't see, like black and Asian people hanging out?
Well, it's not only just that. It's a lot easier talking to someone who looks like you and knows about your culture before. It feels like less of a chance getting rejected. And I admit that I do dislike when sometimes that some Asians come to me just because I speak and understand Chinese. I mean, I would hate it if there's someone who wasn't Asian and dated me just because I was Asian,
Yeah, I know. Don't get me wrong. I loved my girlfriend. Like, we had a lot of the same interests. I could talk to her about anything. But I do also understand, I guess, being a little bit scared of trying to interact with someone outside of your race. Like, I like Bollywood music. She liked jazz. We spent time together. At the same time, I was still very nervous when I was asking her out because we were different races. So it was a great decision, but I see where you're coming from.
I'm really sorry again, man.
I mean, at least this way I still get to see her, and I don't want to get her into any more trouble with her parents. I do have a question, though. I'm a little bit curious. If your parents told you not to hang out with black and Hispanic people, then why'd you become friends with me?
Well, when I met you at orientation, you were one of the only freshmen out there that seemed true, genuine. You try to get to know people, and you were willing to help people out whenever they needed, even though they didn't know you well. I thought that was really cool. And as I got to know you more, I realized what people had been telling me about black people were just stereotypes, and stereotypes don't define people.
I really appreciate that, man.
Thanks.
so does anybody have any thoughts that they want to sort of put out there? Or?
Hi, I'm Louis. Hi. So I guess there's that point of, some parents not wanting their children to start dating people of other race, and you know that's definitely been my experience. You know, I've never kept like a girlfriend secret from my parents, and I've dated like I guess Caucasians, Southeast Asians, and Asian Americans, and you know, it kind of really upsets me when like they tell me something like, well, my mom, this is what she says, you know, you have to find someone who's a nice Christian girl, and you're gonna give me grandchildren who have blue eyes, and I'm like, oh, all right, mom, whatever. And it upsets me when they have like stereotypical comments to make, because you know, it's first off, they don't really interact with anyone who's not Hispanic, and you know, they're not even bothering to get to know the person that means a lot to me. And you know, it's, since I haven't kept a girlfriend secret, but I've been kept secret from, you know, the girlfriend's parents because they wouldn't approve. And you know, that makes me feel sad, because I think we have something special, and when two people care for each other, it shouldn't be put down. I think especially because if you're happy, it tends to make other people happy around you too.
Thank you.
I'm Maya. I'm biracial, and it's really interesting to me when I hear people like in high school and even in college say that ever since a young age they were brought up to think that they have to marry someone who either has a certain religion or is of a certain race. Because I tend to find those people are subconsciously blocking off every other human being who could be just as amazing and wonderful, even if you are not from where they're from. And growing up, it's been interesting for me, and when people see me with my mom, they're always like, are you adopted? And like, it's just really strange because people really aren't used to the idea, even now, of two people from very different places being together. So I think it's something that we actually actively need to change. And even though those, you know, stereotypes exist and your parents may tell you not to interact with certain people, if it's based off of something as shallow as just race, I think it's important to say like, nah, I'm gonna do it, you know? Like, they're my friend or whatever, they're my significant other. So.
Hi, my name is Shruti. Yeah, I've definitely, you know, had lots of arguments with my mom about dating and race, and I don't think I can change her, but there's also the perspective of like my peers. Sometimes I would feel, oh, like maybe he would like me if I were white. Like, or I need to find, if I were to date someone who's not Indian, then I need to find someone who's into Indian girls, like into like Bollywood and things like that. So I think that's something that other, you know, men and women of races have dealt with also.
Hello, my name is Vivek. I grew up 18 years in India, where I didn't really see race as much as class and caste and other social divisions. But so I have something positive to say about CMU, which is that when I came here, and I found myself not strictly limiting myself to people who looked and sounded like me. I made a strong connection with my first year community, and I know for a fact that I have grown so much as a person just because of the different kinds of experiences I've grown on from all the different kinds of people that I've had the privilege of knowing at CMU.
Watching these skits, a lot of the topic of like, oh, like people stick to their own culture came up, and even though my parents never explicitly told me like, oh, it's better if you hang out with Asian kids or whatever, they were actually pretty laid back. They were like, oh, just hang out with kids who are a good influence on you. They weren't very concerned about race, but despite that, I still found myself noticing that like when I'm with other people who are Asian who look like me, I feel more comfortable, and I think the reason is they're less likely to judge me for things that they don't understand. Because I know that when I was in middle school, this isn't a cultural thing, but I used to like put on my contacts on the dining room table, which is weird, as opposed to like in the bathroom. And the reason why was because I was kind of a neat freak, or like a germaphobe. So I would wash my hands at the kitchen sink and then use a paper towel as opposed to like the reusable cloth towel in the bathroom, and then put my contacts on at the dining table as opposed to the bathroom. But like my friend laughed at me like, oh, so now your contacts are gonna fall on the food as opposed to the sink or whatever. And like I was like, oh, that hurts. Like it wasn't racial, but it was because she wasn't very open-minded about my differences. I think because of that, because cultures are different, and because some people are not that great in their conveying of like, why do you do that? That's weird. I feel that it's much more easier to be with people who understand your culture and like most of your identity.
Hello, everybody. So about the dating thing, now I haven't personally experienced the whole thing where your parents are, oh, you can't date outside the race. Because first of all, my mom doesn't care, and second of all, I've never dated outside my race. But my aunt, my aunt actually would have a problem with that. I was talking to her about it, and it's not because she has a prejudice against anybody. It's because she feels like interracial couples have to go through so much, you know, with other people judging them. She wouldn't want something like that to happen. So I just thought that was an interesting, look at interracial dating.
Maddie, do you actually want to get started next? Yeah?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Hey, what's up? You look kind of mad.
Yeah, I'm just having this stupid debate about white privilege, and all I'm getting from my classmates are like these rude and offensive comments like, oh, racism is over, and black people make up X amount of the population to do X amount of the crime, and like, why are you blaming me because I'm white, I'm not a slave owner, and get over it. It's like, it's so obvious, why can't they see it?
Well, it was probably just harder for them because they're used to seeing people that look like them on TV every day. You know, they're not used to being stopped by a cop or being followed in a store. You know, never being told they're playing the race card whenever they want to talk about race.
Yeah, and never being told, oh, you're so pretty for a white girl, or oh, you speak so intelligently, it's like you're not even white. Like,
I mean, yeah, but we know stuff like that already. I mean, honestly, if people don't get it by now, I don't think they ever will. I mean, I may look white, but I'm actually Mexican, you know, and people still say crap in front of me all the time. I mean, you know, like, oh, you're Mexican. Has anyone in your family ever been arrested? Or, oh, you're Mexican. Where's your accent, Holmes? Or, you know, well, it's really annoying.
That must be rough.
It is, but, you know, once I get my degree, it won't even matter. I'll be so done with this school. Also, you might not want to have conversations about this on Facebook. Being able to post whatever you want with, like, virtually no consequences tends to bring out the worst in people.
yeah, that's true, but I feel like we need to talk more about race on this campus. You know, if you can't see a problem, then it's going to be impossible to try to fix it. And you know, I'm tired of feeling like I'm being treated like some kind of representative for my entire race, you know? I'm tired of people asking me if I listen to rap music all the time, or if I can teach them how to dance or how to twerk, you know? The other day I heard this guy actually say, oh, I wish that I was a minority because then everything would be so much easier. How stupid is that? Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt your conversation, but I mean, I know things are really hard for minority students, but it's not like things are 100% easy for white students either.
Wait, what?
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that things are easier for minority students, but I just feel there's some things that white students get judged for asking questions, such as what's the difference between black and African American, or how do you take care of your hair, to use a certain kind of shampoo. I don't see those questions as racist, but I've seen people get yelled at for asking them.
I mean, I don't really think those questions are racist either. I mean, I don't really know about the whole shampoo question at all. But people are always going to respond differently. And I don't think the people that got mad are necessarily wrong either. Like, if you really wanted to know, you could look it up online or ask a panel or something.
And you know, I've never been asked questions like that. People generally just bypass the question and go ahead and try to touch my hair. Like,
Am I some kind of like petting zoo or something? I mean, I get it that people are, you know, curious, and that's fine, but what's not okay is when you decide to be ignorant of other people's, you know, feelings and just go ahead and ask things like this.
Well, what are white students supposed to do? I mean, it feels like we're always being labeled as the bad guys, and it kind of sucks.
Well, think about how you would feel if someone were to ask you those kind of questions, you know? And think about how you would feel if someone that you barely knew just tried to touch you randomly, right? And also, when you talk about race, don't get so self-defensive, you know, actually just try to listen. And also, don't think that the color of our skin dictates who we are, you know, like my skin is brown, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I like to listen to rap music or that I dance a certain way. And take this conversation for instance. Some minority students don't even like to talk about race, you know. I mean, a lot of us do because we feel like it's important, but like not all minority students, you know, want to talk about it. You know, it's just like, you know, we're just people, you know, and we can be into all kinds of different things, you know, from jazz to classical music, art, you know, pop music, 80s music, Taylor Swift, anything, you know. It's like, you know, just because someone is Asian doesn't necessarily mean that they're a math genius. We're just people, and we just, you know, want others to understand that.
And understand that no one's blaming white people for being born white. It's just that there's a system in place that gives certain benefits to those of a lighter skin color. For example, if I were walking down the street wearing a hoodie, you know, somebody might label me a thug or assume I'm up to no good. You probably don't have that problem. Or walking around in a store, say you wanted to buy something, no one would approach you and be like, are you gonna have enough money to buy that? You know, we just want people to recognize that so we can fix it. That's why we have events like the Die-In, so that people are more aware.
You know what, guys? We need to bring more people in on this conversation.
Yeah.
More people need to talk about this.
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody want to talk about it?
All right, so I'm Rob. I was just in the last skit, and I definitely it's interesting to see this skit from the other side because I'm from Atlanta, a really, really African American dominated part of Atlanta, and I literally did not see a white person until I was in the 7th grade. So I remember when I went there, I was just like, oh my God, you're all so different from me. And I would ask questions just like, why is your hair so straight? Like, are all white people richer than black people? Like, it wasn't coming from a place of ignorance. It was just a system in which I wasn't used to it, and the most easily identifiable thing was the differences. And as I got older, I started to see similarities between myself and white people and Asian people, because as was said in the skit, we are all just people. But I do think that there's something to be said for the fact that it's not always from a place of ignorance, of trying to be offensive, but sometimes people just don't know, and they try to learn by asking questions.
Hi, I'm Nare. Again here. So, like, I'm really multiracial, and when it comes to, I think, defining myself, either like putting in like the little scores on the box, whatever, for like your SAT, ACT, and stuff like that, that really annoys me. Because, okay, so my father's Chinese Jamaican, and my mom's English and Guyanese, and when I have to click the box, it's like African American and Black. It's like, okay, well, I know I'm part European, and then I'm part Caribbean, but I'm not African American. I'm Caribbean American, if I want to be specific about it, but there's no checkbox. And I think a lot of times when you see like just a black person like walking on the street, you automatically assume, oh, they're African American if they can speak English. You know what I mean? But that's not the case. And I'm Caribbean American. There's a lot of Caribbean Americans like everywhere in the world, and it's like that's almost like having like a closed mindset to assume that all people from one race have to be from a specific country or have gone through similar experiences. Like, I am first generation American, and I've never had to, you know, my parents never had to deal with, you know, what African Americans have to deal with in America. So when people come up to me and they ask me, you know, oh, you know, how do you feel about this topic? I'm like, I don't know. You know, I haven't really been here, I don't really have the ancestry that coming through there. So I think just in general, just people being open about, you know, just where people come from and kind of understanding that just because you're a skin color doesn't mean that you're necessarily from that place or you're from that place.
Hi, I'm Juan. So as students here, we're probably in one of the most diverse places we'll ever be in our lives. So one of the comments that the Mexican student made was, once I get my degree, I'll be good. And so that's something that I kind of also thought of previously when I was, you know, a freshman, sophomore, that, you know, kind of get all of the race conversations out of the way now that I'm an undergrad, and once I go out into the real world, everything will be great, right? No. So I have a friend who recently graduated, and she is a female Pakistani woman who's working in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and she's had to deal with a lot of racial and sexist comments, and a lot of issues that have really made her first job out of college a really not great experience. It's been a tremendous learning experience, but she's now looking for like employment elsewhere because she's really unhappy. And so I just wanted to mention that when we think about all of these questions and discussions about race, that once we graduate, they're just starting. And actually, probably the most important conversations that we're all gonna have are those that we have with our coworkers and wherever that we work. Particularly as, you know, African Americans or Hispanics with degrees, because we're kind of breaking that stereotype, and, you know, we're gonna be surrounded by maybe a bunch of white people or a bunch of, you know, Asians, if you're like maybe, you know, in like a STEM field or something, and you kind of have to, like, you know, make them think about, like, well, yeah, I'm African American, I'm Hispanic, but I'm also this.
Hey guys, I'm Alvin. I was just in the skit. And I think that, particularly to the point of trying to interact with people that are outside of your race, and sort of like racial jokes, or like not really racist but sort of racist jokes, that those are just like mechanisms to, I guess, try and lighten the mood, because a lot of people are really nervous about asking these kinds of questions. And so the way that I guess we can sort of change that or fix it is to try and disarm each other. Try and like shed those barriers. And that's something that really needs to be like actively pursued, so that nobody really has to develop a thick skin and deal with these questions, is to ask them outright and speak genuinely to each other about these different things.
Hi guys, I'm Kristen. I went to middle school and high school, well I guess it's mostly high school. I went to high school in a place where the black people had a tendency to be in the regular classes, and the white people and the Asians and the Indians had a tendency to be in the AP classes. I was in the AP classes, and I didn't really feel like I had a place. So over the years, people kept telling me, you know, oh, you're so articulate. Oh, you're so smart. You must, like, you're acting white. You're speaking like a white person. And I started to take that as a compliment. And I started to accept that and be happy with it. And that's scary. I went to a church where everyone was primarily black. And there they also told me, hey, you're speaking, you know, like a white person. So when you get told by the black community that you're speaking white, and the white community that you're speaking white, you don't quite feel like you have a place, because I'm black and Cuban. I don't know how to feel about it. I think I've started to become more angry. Once I graduated and started coming here, I started becoming more angry. People tried to touch my hair. I tell them to get off of me. People tell me that my hair is voluptuous and bouncy, and I tell them, okay, yours is straight, great. What's your point? I have this conflict with myself a lot, and I'm still having, you know, this conflict within myself, and I really, really don't like it, but hopefully I'll learn to, you know, deal with it and figure out my place. But right now, I really don't feel like I have a home.
Okay, so I think that is a great comment to end on, and just something that we should all think about. We're now going to take a little bit of a break. We have pizza and soda in the Peter McKenna room, and I want to let our actors and our panelists just go and get some food first. And while they're doing that, you guys go. There are some announcements. The first is that there is one slice of pizza for everyone and soda, and we want you guys all to get food. And when we come back, we're going to start our panel. For those of you who are involved in experiential learning, the letters and the sign-in sheet for that will be at the end of the event on that table out there. So please make sure you sign in so that you get your credit. Oh yeah, if you can't have gluten, there is salad for people. Everyone be back in 15 minutes at 1:05 and we can get started.